Have you ever found yourself in an argument where you won the point but lost the relationship, and even missed out on opportunities that could have been yours? Why do you always end up drained from verbal battles, while others can completely shift the situation without saying a word? What you're about to read may completely upend your understanding of communication and winning. Today, I won't teach you any clever lines or debate tactics. On the contrary, I'll guide you down a completely different path, a path toward the power of silent victory. You'll come to realize that true strength isn't measured by how many people you can convince, but by how many you can influence. True wisdom isn't about speaking endlessly, but about staying composed in silence. You will learn how to reclaim the remote control of your emotions, how to stay composed and graceful in the midst of conflict, how to make time your most powerful ally, and how to earn respect and achieve victory simply through your presence. And in the end, I'll share with you the ultimate and most profound mindset, one that will empower you to remain undefeated in any relationship or power dynamic. So please, make sure you stay until the very end. Trust me, this journey of thought will be absolutely worth it. 1. Build your emotional firewall. Not reacting is the most powerful counterattack. Have you ever wondered why you're so easily set off by just a few words from others? A single doubt can keep you tossing and turning at night. A single provocative glance can set your anger ablaze. Many people think this means they are being authentic or principled, but the truth is, you've handed over the remote control of your emotions to someone else. All your joy, anger, sorrow, and happiness have become buttons that others can press at will. When your emotions are controlled by someone else, you've already lost, completely and utterly. Austrian psychologist Viktor Frankl once said something deeply powerful in his book Man's Search for Meaning. Between stimulus and response there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. And our response determines our growth and freedom. This space is the first battlefield where we outsmart others. Imagine that someone's words or actions are a stimulus, like a stone being thrown at you. In the past, as soon as the stone hit the water, it would immediately create huge splashes. That's the reaction. You were completely controlled by the stimulus. But non-reaction is not suppression, nor is it about bottling up your feelings. It's that moment when the stone is about to fall into the lake of your heart, and you choose to expand that space. You see it, you know it's coming, but you choose not to let it create ripples. You simply observe it and then consciously choose how to respond. This power of non-reaction is known in psychology as emotional regulation or emotional resilience. It means that your self-worth and inner state are stable and not reliant on external validation. When someone verbally attacks you, their aim is to throw you off balance, to drag you into a pre-written script of anger or shame. Once your emotions take over, your logic, intelligence, and judgment shut down entirely, and you begin to play along with their script, saying foolish things and making poor decisions. But when you choose not to react, it's as if you're saying, "I'm not playing your game." Their carefully planned attack hits an invisible wall, soft yet unyielding, and then slides off in silence. They are left feeling stunned and powerless. That IT was like punching a pillow. All the force was absorbed, and in the end, he was the one left drained. Vito Corleone from the classic film The Godfather. No matter how severe the crisis, be it betrayal by a business partner or the death of his son, he rarely displayed intense emotional reactions. His signature gesture was gently stroking his chin, his gaze deep, his tone steady. His silence wasn't empty. It was charged with thoughtful observation and quiet strength. This unshakable composure, even in the face of catastrophe, was a silent declaration. I am the one in control. Those who tried to provoke him often found themselves unsettled under his calm, unwavering gaze. Point 1. So, the first step to outsmarting others is to cultivate yourself from within. Practice taking a deep breath whenever you're triggered by something external. Create that space. Tell yourself, I don't have to respond right away. That one simple thought can shift you from being a passive pawn to an active player. Take back control of your emotions and build an unshakable emotional firewall. This is your entry ticket to any high-level game. 2. The second principle. Use information asymmetry to turn the other person's words into stepping stones toward your own victory. Do you think that in a conflict or negotiation, the person who talks more has the upper hand? That the clearer someone explains their reasoning, the more persuasive they are? This might be one of the biggest misconceptions we've been taught since childhood. Have you ever noticed that, in reality, it's often the people who talk the most who reveal the most, and end up losing the worst? In information warfare and game theory, there's a core concept called information asymmetry. Simply put, the more critical information you hold, the greater your absolute advantage. Arguing and defending yourself are essentially processes of information output. When you're eager to justify yourself and speak at length, you're freely and excessively exposing your information to the other party. Your hand, your weaknesses, your true intentions, your emotional state, and even the cognitive flaws you may not be aware of yourself. That a true master, however, takes the opposite approach. He chooses silence, giving you the entire stage for the argument. He watches you with a focused, even encouraging gaze, allowing you to perform freely. Every word you say becomes a new data point in his mental database. What is he doing? He is listening, analyzing, and constructing a complete psychological profile of you. Through your words, he can discern 1. What your true needs are. On the surface, you may be arguing about right and wrong, but deep down, you might simply be seeking recognition. 2. Where your vulnerabilities lie. The things you repeatedly emphasize or avoid often reveal your weak spots. 3. Where the limits of your knowledge are. The more you say, the more likely you are to expose your ignorance or one-sided thinking. What might your next move be? Your logic and emotions hint at your behavioral patterns. Once he has gathered enough information, he might still say nothing, or he may deliver just 1 or 2 razor-sharp sentences that hit your weakest point, causing all your defenses to collapse instantly. In many business negotiations, the top negotiators are rarely the ones who talk the most. They often pose an open-ended question, then lean back in their chair and listen with a smile. The other team, eager to impress or close the deal, may end up revealing their bottom-line budget, internal disagreements, or the risks they fear most. And this expert is quietly piecing together the puzzle. He waits patiently until the other party has said everything they possibly can, and only then does he slowly present his own proposal, a plan that's nearly impossible to refuse, yet maximizes his own interests. This is because the plan is built on a complete understanding of the other party's position. As Sun Tzu said in The Art of War, if you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles. Silence is your most powerful tool for truly knowing the enemy. So from this moment on, shift your mindset completely. True wisdom lies not in persuasion, but in listening. Close your mouth and open your ears and eyes. Every time you feel the urge to argue, ask yourself this: do I want to win this argument, or do I want to win in the end? If it's the latter, then embrace the silence and let the other person's words become the stepping stones to your victory. 3. Display a high-value posture. Your time is your most powerful weapon. Why is it that some people never engage in office gossip or arguments, yet no one dares to underestimate them? Why do some people stay silent in the face of malicious online attacks, yet come across as more composed and admirable? Because their silence speaks volumes. My time is precious, my energy is limited, and I have more important things to focus on. Behind this is a powerful social principle: value demonstration. Your value is never shown by what you say, but by what you do. How you choose to spend your time is the most direct and powerful reflection of your personal value. When you decide to invest significant time arguing over a dull opinion or a spiteful provocation, you're effectively telling the world through your actions, "My time is worth the same as this issue, this person." In that moment, you lower your own value. Someone who carries themselves with a high-value mindset communicates a very different message through their silence. "Sorry, what you're talking about isn't on my list of priorities. My life is focused on bigger goals, more meaningful pursuits, and people who truly matter. I don't have time to engage in this low-level game with you." This silence is not cowardice, but a form of condescending disregard. It serves as a filter, automatically weeding out people and situations that try to drain your energy or pull you down. Your lack of response is, in itself, the most powerful response. It leaves the provocateurs feeling deflated and even ashamed, as they realize that their so-called proud attacks don't even cause the slightest ripple in your world. Imagine a top-tier scientist like 2You. Would she personally spend 3 days and nights arguing online just because someone questioned the discovery process of artemisinin? Absolutely not. How would she respond? By continuing to devote herself to her research and using her work to benefit more people. Her silence is supported by tremendous achievements and a deep sense of purpose. Her career is her strongest statement. Any verbal attacks pale in comparison to her accomplishments and come off as petty and laughable. The same goes for us ordinary people. You don't need to become a great scientist, but you must have your own Rome to build. Your Rome could be your professional skills, your personal brand, your family, or your health. When you focus all your energy on this, you automatically gain immunity from all the toxic people and situations. So stop wrestling with crocodiles in the mud. Even if you win, you'll still be covered in filth. If you lose, it's total ruin. The smartest move is to turn around and walk away. Go build your own Rome. When you focus on creating value, when you treat your time as more precious than gold, your silence will exude an aura of invincibility. When your accomplishments shine brightly enough, all the noise will naturally fade into silence. For master the art of letting him win. Lose the small battles to win the bigger war. Do you always insist on sorting out every little thing, seeing everything in black and white? For example, at home, you might argue about where to squeeze the toothpaste. At work, you might go back and forth over the font in a PowerPoint presentation. You think you're striving for perfection and standing by your principles, but in the end, you win the scallion and lose the whole vegetable garden. You win the sesame seed and lose the entire watermelon. There's a highly refined form of wisdom called strategic surrender. It means consciously choosing to let go of arguments in situations that aren't about core principles, don't affect the bigger picture, or are simply the other person venting emotionally, even going so far as to verbally agree that they're right. It might feel stifling at first, right? But if you think a bit deeper, there's profound wisdom behind it. Point 1. First, it helps you conserve your most valuable resource, your energy. Human willpower and attention are limited. If you spend your daily energy on petty squabbles, you'll be completely depleted when it's time to face truly important challenges. Skilled individuals understand the principle of using the best steel where it counts most. 2. Second, it can instantly disarm the other person. Often, when someone argues with you, it's not really about who's right, but about emotions and pride. What they're seeking is the feeling of having won. When you generously offer them that victory, their urge to attack and their defensiveness can dissolve instantly. From a psychological perspective, you fulfilled their need for self-affirmation, and they may even develop a favorable impression of you, seeing you as generous and broad-minded. In the end, it allows you to see the bigger picture. When you shift from being a participant in an argument to an observer, your perspective immediately broadens. You begin to see how insignificant the issue you're heatedly debating really is in the grand scheme of life or the overall blueprint of a project. This sense of detachment helps you stay clear-headed and make the most rational decisions. A writer once shared a story. When he first started writing, many well-meaning friends and relatives would offer unsolicited advice, telling him that what he was doing was pointless and that he should find a stable job instead. At first, he argued back, trying to reason with them. But the conversations always ended poorly. Later, he got wiser. When someone said something like that again, he would simply nod and smile. You're absolutely right. I'm just messing around with my writing. Your job is definitely more stable and forward-thinking. The other person walked away satisfied. Meanwhile, he saved himself the time and energy of an argument and continued charging ahead on his own path, ultimately achieving success. He exchanged a verbal defeat for a real victory. So remember this, a truly strong person dares to concede on battlefields that don't matter. This isn't self-deception or weakness. It's a clear-minded, intentional choice. Because with greater goals in mind, they understand that conserving strength, choosing the right battlefield, and focusing their energy on the critical points that truly determine success or failure is the ultimate wisdom for total victory. 5. Delay your response and observe quietly. When faced with sudden accusations, misunderstandings, or even crises, is your first instinct to immediately jump in to defend or explain yourself? I'm not. You're mistaken. That's not how it happened. But have you ever noticed that these immediate emotional reactions are often the first step into a trap someone has set for you? Not only do they fail to resolve the issue, but they can actually make things worse. In crisis management, there's a golden rule. And it's not the golden 24 hours, but rather the principle of delayed response. When faced with sudden situations, true experts rarely react right away. They choose silence, even if that silence might seem passive in the moment. Why? Because time is the most impartial and powerful weapon in the world. 1. Time helps cool down emotions. Not only your own emotions are involved, but also those of the other person and the surrounding onlookers. Responding in the heat of the moment means clashing at the peak of emotional intensity, which almost always leads to an explosion. Delaying, however, gives everyone a buffer to cool down. Once the emotional tide recedes, reason finally has a chance to surface. 2. Time can reveal the truth. Many lies and setups may appear flawless at first, but they often can't withstand the test of time. If you rush to defend yourself, you might fall into the trap of over-explaining, only making things worse. But if you choose silence and let time take the stage, contradictions and flaws will often expose themselves. Letting the facts speak for themselves is far more powerful than shouting your defense until you're horse point 3. Time can help you develop better strategies. During this period of silence, you're not just waiting idly, you're observing, gathering information, and carefully thinking through your response. It allows you to gain a fuller understanding of the situation, to clearly identify who your true enemies are and who could be potential allies. With this clarity, you can craft the most precise and effective counter-strategy. Hasty actions are a form of strategic laziness. There's a famous line in the movie Let the Bullets Fly. Let the bullets fly for a while. Behind this lies a profound philosophy of time. Zhang Matzi, played by Jiang Wen, doesn't strike back immediately every time he faces Huang Xilang's schemes and false accusations. He understands the value of waiting, for the right moment, for public opinion to shift, and for the enemy to reveal their own weaknesses. His silence and patience were laced with both deadly intent and sharp wisdom, ultimately enabling him to deliver a decisive, fatal blow. In real life, many celebrities who face online harassment often find that the best PR strategy is a brief period of silence. Responding too quickly can be perceived as a sign of guilt, but after some time, once public emotions have cooled, responding with a detailed, composed statement or concrete actions tends to be far more effective. So, the next time you face a difficult situation, be sure to resist the impulse to respond immediately. Learn to temporarily hand the issue over to time and give yourself a strategic pause. Observe in silence, planned during the wait. Trust that time can not only wash away false accusations, but also help you craft the most devastating counterattack. That IT is your most loyal and most powerful ally. 6. Cultivate your energy field. Your inner state is the ultimate commanding force. Have you ever had this feeling? You walk into a room, and someone hasn't said a word or even looked at you, yet you can clearly feel their powerful presence, making you instinctively tense up, even hesitant to step out of line? On the other hand, some people may talk a lot or hold impressive titles, but deep down, you feel no respect for them at all. What exactly is at work here? This is what we're going to explore today, the most advanced and fundamental concept, the energy field, or what can also be called your state of being. It might sound a bit mystical, but it's actually at the intersection of psychology, spiritual practice, and physics. Your words make up only 5% of the information you communicate. Your body language, microexpressions, and, more importantly, your internal energy state comprise the remaining 95%, silently broadcasting to the world around you. A person filled with anxiety, fear, and insecurity, even if speaking the boldest words, emits an energy field that is contracted and fragile. Others can subconsciously sense this inconsistency and, as a result, won't truly be persuaded. In contrast, someone who is genuinely grounded, calm, confident, and full of inner strength radiates an energy field that is expansive, stable, and harmonious. This energy field creates an invisible force that naturally inspires trust and respect in those around you. This inner state is what we call inner steadiness. It arises from a deep understanding of oneself, insight into the laws of the world, and an unconditional acceptance of one's own worth. When someone possesses this kind of steadiness, they reach a state of being unshaken by external influences. Praise from others cannot make them arrogant. Slander from others cannot throw them off balance. The storms of the outside world cannot disturb their inner peace. Their silence is no longer a tactic, but a natural expression. Their lack of contention is not due to cowardice, but because they operate from a higher perspective. He recognized the futility of argument itself. This state is deeply explored in many Eastern philosophies, such as Zen and Taoism. The philosophy of Aikido, for instance, doesn't counter force with force, but instead uses harmonious, flowing energy to redirect and neutralize the opponent's attack. Your inner calm is the most powerful force. It causes all noise and chaos to dissolve before you. So all the previous mindsets are at the level of technique, while this final point is at the level of the Tao. The ultimate form of wise victory is cultivating your inner self. When you begin to look inward, to observe your thoughts, heal your wounds, and build a strong inner core, your external world will naturally start to transform. Your inner peace becomes your strongest armor and your sharpest weapon. It's a kind of energetic checkmate you've already won before the game even begins. All right, my friend. Let's recap a few ways to win without fighting that we covered in today's video. 1. Build an emotional firewall and take back control of your emotions. Not reacting is the most powerful counterattack. Leverage information asymmetry. Keep your mouth shut and let the other person's words become the stepping stones to your success. Project a high-value presence. Remember, your time is your most precious weapon. Don't waste it on trivial matters. Master the art of letting them win. Yield in the small things so you can triumph where it truly matters. Make time your ultimate ally. Learn to delay your response and let things unfold before making your move. Most importantly, cultivate your energy field. Your inner state is the ultimate force that shapes everything. I want you to understand that what we discussed today, winning through silence, is never about manipulation or becoming cold and unfeeling. That on the contrary, it represents a higher level of wisdom and compassion. It helps you rise above petty, draining conflicts and channel your precious life energy into truly meaningful creation. It transforms you from someone who constantly seeks external validation, a weakling, into a strong individual who radiates strength from within. True victory isn't about overpowering others, but about realizing your own potential. When you become strong, calm, and whole, you'll find that there's no longer any need to defeat anyone, because in your world, there are no enemies left. To close today's sharing, I'd like to end with a classic Taoist saying that perfectly captures everything we've discussed. Great sound is rarely heard. The greatest form is without shape. The most profound sound is the one you cannot hear. The most magnificent form is the one without shape. May you, too, embody this silent yet immense power in your own life. That's all for today's video. I hope you found it helpful. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and see you next time.